Does it, are you?
Hold on. I hate when they use this analogy. This is what make my dick get hard. Excuse my language. Well, there are people being killed in Sudan. A lot of people are killed in Syria. But when we do it, everybody gets mad. Are you fucking stupid? Are you fucking nuts? Should you get a break, or should you get a pass for that? I mean, cookie? Well, why don't you let us do what everybody else is doing? Stop. This is what gets me hard.
It's like there's so many different things going on and suffering going on around.
I gotta get it from the beginning.
$250.
The dumb commercials. All right. Let's listen to this commercial so we can get the
a precious baby's life today. Your tax-deductible gift will go directly towards saving babies' lives. You just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby, or go to preborn.com/Candace.
Hold
That's
on, guys.
preborn.com/Candace.
All right, got it.
Right. Do you find it interesting, or does it spark your curiosity at all as to why, when Israel is involved in a conflict or defending itself or in any sort of armed war or whatever, that it animates the world in no other way than Israel? Like, it's like there's so many different things going on and suffering going on around the world, and innocent people and Muslims being slaughtered in Syria by Assad and all these things, and people don't storm the streets. But for some reason with Israel, people get crazy. Does it, are you suspicious of that? And to what?
You see, I mean, did you just listen to him? Here's a man who spent a whole hour with Candace Owen telling her about how people misunderstand or make mistakes about Jews in America. He is saying that Muslims are being killed all over the world. A lot of things are happening, but don't you see it's suspicious when Israel does it, everybody gets mad? Really? Really? First of all, Israel is an occupying country. It is a parasite that happened to fall on the body of the Palestinians and is devouring their body and eating it away like cancer. This is what Israel to me is. First of all, you are occupying a land that the United Nations says it belongs to the Palestinians. It's 22%, what was 100% theirs. Second of all, you are throwing 2,000 bombs on neighborhoods. You had schools 2 days ago, a school, they bombed the school because they thought there was Hamas inside there. Destroyed 26 hospitals. So, you know what? F you and your ancestors for that, okay? That's a New York style curse.
What's going on there? Why people get so crazy?
Because the media covers it. Then this kind of gets to what I was speaking to with peers. If you go talk to the average person about what's happening to Christians in Armenia or Christians in Nigeria, nobody even knows. But when October 7th happened, it was wall-to-wall coverage in America, as if it happened on American soil, right? So that then made people, and it wasn't even that, it was then they instantly condemned a lot of Americans, and I think that upset a lot of white Americans because they were like, well, wait a second, this has been happening to us, this rhetoric has been happening to us on college campuses for years, and no one did anything, and then suddenly it became a mainstreamed issue. If it was relegated to the same coverage as Nigeria and Armenia, it wouldn't have been in the forefront of people's minds. So what we're talking about is the psychological impact of having day in and day out. I mean, literally, I used to be like an avid reader of the New York Post. I had to stop reading it after like 2 weeks. I was like, is this even an American publication anymore? Is this like full time? We're covering Israel every minute of every day. So I think that the response came from the fact that
full disclosure, the New York Post is not a real newspaper. I haven't read it in 25 years, just so that you know. I don't know why you're reading such a tabloid.
It was all the media would talk about. It was all the media would talk about, and that.
But it's the cart
Same
before
with Ukraine.
the horse.
No one ever talks about Ukraine, and then suddenly, Russia invades Ukraine, and you couldn't go through it. Suddenly, I'm like, when have we ever spoken about Ukraine here? And now everyone's got an opinion about Ukraine. So that's just the power of the media to make something a bigger issue.
But you could see why, from the Jewish community's perspective and the pro-Israel Jewish community's perspective, why everyone gets so fixated, and the media does decide to put a spotlight and scrutinize every military operation in Israel like they do with nothing.
This is the biggest lie. First of all, no media is allowed in Gaza. 158 correspondents and press people have been murdered by Israeli drones. The media that is embedded with the Israeli army doesn't get to see nothing, only what they... This is a lie. There is no coverage. You see MSNBC. Have you seen them cover? The only one guy, A-Man, and the other guy got fired. What's his name? Hassan Mahdi got fired because he put the the fire under the feet of an Israeli official. This is a lie. These people are liars, man. You see how it is? He's been crying about Candace Owens saying things about Jewish people, but he has no issue of 40,000 people dead in 6 months. This is the problem we have. This is the deftones we have. If you as a Jew, an American Jew, supports a genocidal government in Israel, then me and you, we have nothing in common no more. We don't have anything in common. We're two different individuals, two different people, and we do not see eye to eye anymore because I do not like your behavior and your support of such a genocidal maniac. And don't come with this victimhood bullshit on me, okay? I'm tired of this shit. Yeah.
Else is a call for suspicion as to this is more than just being
suspicion,
critical of an ally of the United States that it supports. There's something else going on here. What's different about Israel than any of these other countries? What's
our relationship with Israel is different, I would say. And I think actually the coverage was...
We fund lots of countries. I mean, we give a lot of aid to a lot of countries. Somehow when AIPAC is advocating for legislation...
Yeah, well, AIPAC pays journalists, you know what I mean? This is part of the problem where it's they were covering this issue feverishly. And I mean, on the New York Post, there are literal journalists who are in the IDF. You can just see it right on their thing. So there is this sort of marriage between America and Israel. And so I think what you could be reading as, well, why is it Israel? Part of it has to do with the fact because the media is insisting on us covering Israeli issues as if it's American. And so then people started paying attention to what was happening. I actually think if they didn't cover it, you wouldn't have seen any of those protests.
But most of the Western media coverage of Israel is hostile.
Oh, see,
Israel.
I don't. Maybe it's because of the publications I read, but I would disagree with that. But I don't read leftist publications, so I'm biased.
Right.
I'm reading like the New York.
There is nothing hostile. You go to MSNBC, it's a fucking. They come on, man. CNN, all these channels, BS. What are you talking about hostile to Israel? You think Jake Tabor is hostile to Israel? He's a Zionist scum from Philadelphia. Do you think Dana Bash, whatever her name is, she's hostile? Come on. You think Morning Joe is hostile to Israel? Do you think Rachel Maddow is hostile to Israel? They don't have the guts to say anything about Israel. Everybody's scared to lose their jobs, man. Stop. I don't like this idea that Jewish is always the victim. I'm the victim. Even when you're committing a war crime, you're a victim. You want to victimize yourself. You want to be seen as the victim. You're the murderer. You are supporting the murder of 17,000 children. F you 100 times. F you 1,000,000 times. It has nothing to do with Jew. It has to do with something that you're killing human beings for their land and for their homes. Look at the West Bank. What you doing, man? I want to debate this garbage here, man.
The New York Post. I'm reading like the Daily Mail, the Wall Street Journal, and I would not say, I would say it's above in like very pro-Israel.
That speaks to the algorithmic realities we live in and what you're seeing. And we get this risk read, but I would tell you internationally, the BBC, CNN, MSNBC, most of the, well, you would read most of media is left.
Well, you better read different. What are you doing watching CNN? That's a bigger problem. What are you doing watching CNN
but
and
most
MSNBC?
of media, we talk about it all the time, right? You talk about that. Most of mainstream media,
that's true. I just don't read it.
on the right that
So
you're.
Don't be afraid, Candace.
I can tell you this: they're hostile towards Israel.
Come on, Candace, you can do it.
It's all Israel's fault.
You was doing okay.
Like that point. So that's the thing, this obsession with the Jewish state. I mean, that's what Douglas Murray astutely says all the time. There's tons of suffering all over the world, but nobody cares.
Douglas Murray is a rabid anti-Islamophobe since he was in college. There's videos of him on YouTube. And I don't like the smile on the face of Candace. Now, all of a sudden, she's becoming a scary girl. Don't get scared. They're committing war crimes. They're criminals. That's it. It is what it is. We're not afraid. They're not like us.
It has nothing to do with the Jews. It's only when the Jews get attacked that they're attacked more. I think in that spirit.
Why is that so good? That's just your
I'm not public about it, but only when Israel gets attacked that it gets.
I don't like the end of it. No, he's doing the accents of a racist called guy named Douglas Murray. I bought his book. I made a mistake. I was like, what? What? Then I stopped reading it. Stop laughing.
It's attacked more. Israel is the only country not allowed to win a war. So, yeah, he'd be good to talk to. I recommend it.
You got to
If you
get him
watch that
on and
monk
do that
debate.
with him. But I listen.
Yeah, little Douglas
I
versus
personally
Douglas.
don't like Bibi Netanyahu. Fine, he's foreign. I don't really care. I get that upsets some people because they think it's like
A lot of Israelis don't either.
yeah, they're protesting in the streets against him. So I agree with them. I think they've been up to no good, and I think unfortunately the Israeli population, as well as Jewish people in America, are bearing the brunt of bad decision.
4%, 96% of Israelis think that Israel is not doing enough damage in Gaza. Only 44% say that they doing enough. So the Israeli population could suck it up 24 hours. Okay, they're all shitty, they're all criminals because they want that free land. The only reason they protested is because of the hostages, and they have internal issue with their courts. They don't give a damn. The Zionist Jew, no, how I said, the liberal Zionists and the right-wing Zionists don't have a lot of differences when it comes to Palestinians. You understand? That I did it right this way, right? All right, let's see what they do. Now they're trying to make each other jokes.
Making by his party. But I look at that as an abstract in the same way that I look at like what Joe Biden is doing. I think he's awful too, you know, and I critique my own president. So yeah, I'm going to critique Israel. I'm going to critique AIPAC. I'm going to critique the ADL in the same way that I critique Big Pharma, the same way that I critique the CDC, the FDA, and my own politicians.
Everybody hates everybody.
People should just stop taking it so personal. Like when I start
Even
advocating
the world
for
is
like
flat.
Israel shouldn't be a state and that sort of a stuff, which I would never ever do, then we're in a whole different category. But I think people should just like, you know, give it some time.
Well, so it's a good distinction to make, that you know that you can recognize that the people saying Israel should be abolished, dismantled, that's where the anti-Semitism comes in. We're not just talking about criticisms of particular.
No, nobody's saying that. Israel should not be abolishing the Palestinians. That's where we have the problem. You know, I don't like the ending of this. Candace, he was doing so good. And I was proud of you for a minute there. And I thought, hey, there she goes. She's standing her ground. She's speaking truth to power. Now, all of a sudden, it has become Bibi. The problem is not Bibi Netanyahu or the Israel. The problem is the Israeli public itself and their appetite for property, for Palestinian homes, and they want to just cleanse them as they're not human beings. The problem, the hurt people are not the Israeli people. Stop. You know, the ultimate victim is the Jew. The Jew is always the victim. He's killing, he's the victim. He's being killed, he's the victim. He's doing this, I'm the victim, I'm the victim, I'm the victim. He's the ultimate victim. I never seen one says, well, we've been doing bad.
Particular politicians in Israel or Israeli policy, which Israel is known to do and has a whole culture of dissent and criticism. They're a robust democracy, which they should be proud of, and we should recognize as a friend of the U.S. in that sense. At least forget what the policy should be in terms of giving people money. I mean, there's a lot of friends you have that you don't just give them money in regular life as individuals. That's a separate conversation, but